Um, First of all, Coach Flo suit game looks good. Just with Jaylen Waddle, I just want to know what particular skill set he had that separated him from other receivers in this draft.
I think with Jalen, uh, you've watched him. We've watched him over the years. He's been a dynamic, explosive player. Even from his freshman year there, he just flashed and saw stuff, and I think this season demonstrated the type of player. And even last season, he's contributed there every year. We love his athletic ability, his run after catch, obviously the speed, but it's also his toughness. He's a very competitive kid. He loves ball. It's important to him. I think you guys see how he plays. He plays with passion and energy. And so, as Brian and I and the coaches and scouts were going through it, this guy has been someone that's caught our eye. And it's not just this year. This is someone that we've had our eye on for the last couple of years, just watching.
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments. Obviously we watched a lot of Tua last year. In doing that, we saw, really all the players at Alabama. And, Waddle was somebody who definitely stood out as a receiver, as a returner, just a really good player. And then getting to know him was that kind of, I would say, confirmed a lot of the things we had heard. And then we just think he's a very, very, very good player, good person, and somebody who fit our locker room.
I want to follow up on actually that point right there because I mean, for a kid like that who's projected to go in the first round anyway, obviously didn't have to go and play in that national title game, but kind of showed that passion and want to be out there with his teammates. Is that something that maybe when you're watching the title game pops out on the screen to you, maybe more so than another player out there?
I think it just again shows the character and how important football is to him. Like you said, a lot of players would have opted not to play and risk injury, but he wanted to be with his teammates and worked hard to rehab and get back and be out there and contribute. And so for us, it just, as we got to know him, as Brian said, it just kind of completed the picture. Even really, it's not to get before we even really knew him, just to say like this is the type of kid that loves ball and it would fit our culture.
Hey guys, along those same lines, Jaelan Phillips had admitted that, maybe somewhere along the lines, his passion for football wasn't as strong throughout his journey. What convinced you guys that he was in fact a fit for this culture and can bring the passion and energy that you guys would want here with the Dolphins?
Well, Brian, myself, the coaches, the scouts, we spent a lot of time through the pre-draft process getting to know him. And I think the one thing when you watch him play, you would never question his passion and effort and stuff because he plays 100 miles an hour and he's got a tremendous motor and effort. And you can tell football is very important to him. And I think like any person, when you're that young going into college and doing stuff and, maybe hit, a little bit of adversity there, I think it's just maturing and growing. And so I think, watching him over his career, he's one of the top players in the country in high school and just watching his growth over the last few years as we got to know him, we felt very comfortable with it. And on film, there's no doubt that this guy loves football. And so we're very excited to have him.
Hey guys, Tua said something last season to the effect of the team having only one really, really fast receiver in Jakeem. How much did that statement have on you guys going out and getting Will Fuller and Jaylen Waddle tonight?
I don't think we react to any player statements. At the end of the day, Brian, myself, working with coaches and scouts, we evaluate everything and we'll do what's best for the Dolphins. I think at the end of the day, we'll always do what's best for the organization. So I don't put a lot of stock in those statements. We have conversations with players all the time, but we don't let that drive our decision making.
Yeah, I got nothing to add there.
Hi, my question's for Chris. last week, Chris, when you spoke to us, and I'm just going to read off your quote. You said, in terms of pass rush, we feel good about it. After feeling, good and satisfied about where you guys were with Van Ginkel and Ogba last year, adding Phillips to that group, what do you think he brings in terms of fit to the scheme and what he'll be able to do for Brian and Josh Boyer?
Like you said, we're very excited, and we're always looking to keep improving the roster. Brian, myself, Coach, we all talk about that all the time. And the opportunity that Jaylen was, we were tremendously excited for. We think he's a very talented player. He fits what we're looking for, in terms of everything, toughness, effort, competitiveness, and the production on the field. So anytime we can add to a position, whether it's a position of strength as people view it or not, we're going to keep working to upgrade the roster. So for us, this was a big get for us.
You never have enough pass rush, Josh. You know that.
Hey, Chris, it's Joe over here. Chris, obviously, Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase are two skilled receiving talents who might also have added to the team. How did you feel seeing them go with the 2 picks in front of your spot, knowing that you had traded down from 3?
Yeah. No, I told you we're very comfortable where we were. We had a number of players, like we said, about 4 players we felt really good about taking at 6, and we'd be tremendously happy to have. So we had, again, don't look back, but at the end of the day, we're tremendously excited. And this was a player we've been looking at for a couple of years. So for what we want to do for our team and our roster, we were very happy to have Jaylen, and no regrets, and say that with all honesty to you.
Hi. So everything you said about Waddle, I'm sure you saw Devontae Smith. He's on the same team and did a lot of things for Alabama. Why Waddle over Smith?
At the end of the day, they're both really good players and really good kids, and very competitive. Just, as we went through it, it's the explosiveness that, Waddle gives you, as well as the return game, as Ryan mentioned. And for us, that's that dynamic trait. And you can only imagine the text Brian and I got from people talking about what a great pick and explosive and how this guy is, you guys saw the comparisons. But for us, it was getting to know the kid. And we were really, really happy and knowing how competitive and tough. But it's just, they're both really good players. Devontae's going to be a really good player in this league. For us, it was the explosive playmaking ability and the return ability for us that we really liked.
Good evening, gentlemen. I wanted to ask you about the decision with Phillips. Obviously, having the opportunity to pick the first pass rusher in the draft or edge player in the draft is a great situation. But what went into your decision in terms of evaluating other positions of need and your board? I'm sure you picked BPA because that's your way, Chris. But did you expect and project the run at running back that you saw in the first round?
Yeah, Brian and I and the coaches and scouts, again, we do a lot of work pre-draft, a lot of calls, information, and mock drafts, going through our own stuff, looking at it. And yeah, we thought that could happen, but for us, Jaylen was the best player on our board at that point. And so as Brian said, you can never have enough pass rush, and we all felt that way. So for us, we were tremendously excited that Jaylen was there. And we didn't think he would be there, and we were happy to get him.
Chris, did you have conversations with the Cowboys about them moving up to 6? And if so, how serious were they?
We had a number of conversations with a couple teams, but I would say nothing was very serious. So I'm not going to go into what teams and who, just out of respect for them. But we had a couple teams that called and were interested. But at the end of the day, Waddle was the guy we wanted. And Brian and I talked it over. And at the end of the day, we made the pick with the player that we wanted to be here and was the best fit for the Dolphins.
I imagine you had some conversations with Tua regarding Waddle. What can you share with us as far as anything Tua might have said about Waddle, and how quickly do you think they might develop chemistry given that they have that much experience together already?
Tua was very supportive of really all his teammates at Bama. So Waddle, Smitty, Harris, you know, Leatherwood. I mean, he was very complimentary of all those guys. So I think he was excited that we chose Waddle. But to answer your question, he was complimentary of all the players at Bama.
What's up, fellas? What is your vision? I guess this may be for Flo. What's your vision for Waddle? I know you play a lot in the slot at Bama and did some returning. Where do you see him kind of starting off, helping your offense?
I mean, his role is going to be what he makes it, based off of all the film we've seen, and we think he'll fit inside or outside. I think he'll add a speed element, and obviously he has some value in the return game. So I think his versatility is a big part of this. His ability to play inside, to play in the slot, to play on the perimeter, to play in the return game. We're very, very excited to have him, or both Jalen's, to be honest with you, and we're excited.
Question for Brian. I'm not sure how much, if at all, you studied the two quarterbacks that have been added to the AFC East tonight, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones, but how do you feel about the caliber of young quarterbacks within your division now?
Two very good players, two talented guys, smart, and I think the Jets and New England got two very good players, and I'm sure they're excited about adding those pieces. The same way we're excited about adding the guys that we added tonight. And I think now it's about getting them in and getting them acclimated and getting them adjusted to the National Football League and learning the playbook, and kind of fitting into the locker room and fitting into the culture of obviously our team with our guys, and their team with them. But very talented players, and I'm sure they're excited.
Guys, it seemed we were on the call with Jaylen Waddle when he found out that Devontae got picked, and he just got really excited and even got very emotional when talking about Surtain and all his teammates at Alabama getting picked and seeing their dreams come true and all this. Is that the kind of stuff you guys found out about him? Just sort of the camaraderie and the supportive nature that he brings to the table, and how much of a factor is that sort of thing, outside of, the talents he has on the field?
I mean, I would say the talent is the first thing we're looking at, and I think that stood out. But, for sure, he talked about, being a teammate and how important that was. He talked about, the camaraderie that he and both Jaelan Phillips and Jaylen Waddle both talked about the camaraderie and how important that is. So, and obviously that's important to us. But as players, these guys, that's what stood out first. If you have anything.
No, that's exactly what it is. He's a great kid, everything. Loves ball, but he loves his teammates as well. And that's like Brian said, that's what really stood out through the interview process. Is very quick to talk about his teammates and give them a lot of credit for helping him improve and be a better player, and his coaching staff. So very humble kid as well too, but very driven and competitive.